Peter Wertheim from the Executive Council of Australian Jewry spoke earlier to my colleague Ros Charles.
It's not just the Jewish community that is in shock and mourning. I think the whole country is in shock and mourning, as is evidenced by the unending stream of mourners who are visiting the site of the atrocity and paying their respects, expressing their solidarity, shedding tears and saying prayers. This is an unprecedented event in our national history, and I think the country is mourning its loss of innocence and the desecration of a place like Bondi Beach, which has been in many ways a cultural icon of that innocence, a place of relaxation and recreation for generations of Australians who until now had only happy memories of the place, which will now be forever overshadowed by the horror of what happened on Sunday. So the country as a whole, I think, is feeling this. What happened was just so evil. It was evil of such depth that it's beyond the range of experience of most ordinary people. And I think we're all struggling to grapple with it, to understand it, to work out how it happened and what to do about it. It's not just the government. I think this is something that our whole society is confronting, and people are asking questions, soul searching in a way that I don't think happened or happened sufficiently before this event. And we're all struggling really to come to terms with where we go now and what to do to go forward.
Well, Peter, the government has offered funding to help the Jewish community as they cope with what's happened. Your organisation is responsible for facilitating that support. Where is it most needed?
Well, we have been receiving funding, and I understand that will be renewed, and that's welcome. We need security funding, unfortunately. We would much prefer, however, to live in a society where we didn't need it, where there was no security issue that needed to be funded. And I think that is a more long-term question that we need to ask ourselves. And as welcome as these measures are, they really only address the symptoms. They don't address the underlying problem. And the underlying problem is anti-Semitism, and even underlying that is the problem of the growth of violent extremist ideologies that are taking root in our society. We have underestimated the impact of that and haven't effectively addressed it. And when I say we, I'm talking about all of us, the government, law enforcement agencies, civil society, our universities, our arts and culture sector, social media. It's across the board. And it's only now, with the shock of what's happened, that people realise that the sorts of things that our organisation and our community has been calling for some time have not been an overreaction or unrealistic alarmism, but absolutely spot on in terms of what we feared would happen and has now come to pass.
The Prime Minister has defended his government's efforts to combat anti-Semitism in Australia, pointing to measures including legislation against hate speech, appointing an envoy on anti-Semitism, establishing a national hate crimes register, for example. What's your response to that?
They have done all of those things. We've acknowledged that and we thank them for it. But as I say, a lot of this addresses the symptoms only, not the underlying causes. We need a much more concerted, well thought through effort in the education space. I think that is priority. We need, in particular, a formal, detailed response to the proposals in the Special Envoy's Action Plan. And we've sought that repeatedly, and we're still waiting for that. I know that there are certain elements of that plan which have already been actioned, as you've pointed out, and as the government has pointed out, but we have yet to get a comprehensive point-by-point response from the government on the proposals in that action plan, and it's now beyond urgent. So that's a critical area of concern, and the education effort that is needed from primary school on to universities is one of the centrepieces of that action plan, which has really attracted surprisingly little public comment, but where the priorities really need to be. And then there's also law enforcement. I mean, I greatly admire the work of our law enforcement agencies. They do a job most of us would not be prepared to do. But they need extra support too, because I don't think they are fully trained to deal with the sorts of incidents that we saw on Sunday. I think that they still need more assistance to get up to world's best practice, because I don't think that we're there yet, and there's certainly an effort that is needed in that space. There's still lots of work to do, and particularly the other points in the action plan in all those other areas of civil society where we've been pointing to the problems of growing anti-Semitism and the attendant problem of the growth of extremist ideologies.
Peter Wertheim, thank you so much for joining us today.